Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Ah, Nancy, Nancy Guthrie, Nancy, poor Nancy, this poor woman. Nancy, where are you? Where is Nancy Guthrie? This is the question that we've been talking about right, going back to when Nancy first disappeared, right back there, the end of January. Nancy, wherefore art thou, Nancy? This poor woman, just taken away, stolen from her bed. And here we are, months later, months. And as far as we know, the public, we're no further on. But the worst thing for me is, this clamour over the last few days. Are they real or aren't they real? We still don't know. We're no further on. So this all started, this latest sort of kerfuffle, if you like, all started because Reuters news agency, who are probably the most respected news agency in the world, they said, Reuters, not TMZ, not, Ola magazine or any YouTube mainstream media, Reuters, which most people generally accept as the most reliable source for news in this world, in this crazy world we live in. They released a statement saying that they, according to their sources, oh my God, these sources, everybody's got a source, haven't they? I haven't. I've got not even a HP source, not even a tomato source. These sources, what does that even mean? Oh, my source tells me, oh, my sources say this, my source says that. Honest to God, you can get a source to tell you anything. Anyway, my sources tell me that it's all a load of cojones. But anyway, right. So where do we start? So yeah, Reuters, the respected news agency, Reuters, issued a statement saying their FBI source had said that all the kidnap notes, ransom notes, were a hoax, were fake, all of them, in their opinion, or in the FBI's opinion, which, we assume that we can rely on the FBI's opinion. So that's what started it all, wasn't it? So they came out, Reuters, I have to keep saying Reuters because, as I say, this is not, Fred Blogs, your YouTuber from down the road, or me, or anyone. It's not the celebrity gossip magazine TMZ, who must be loving this case. I've never even heard of TMZ before this. Now TMZ are constantly on my social media timelines. And, what just gets, every time I see their posts, and no offense to them, they're doing what they're doing, they're popular. It's just that Nancy's case is so serious, an 84-year-old woman kidnapped. And then in the next minute, because they keep popping up on my timelines now because I've read some of their articles and watched some of their videos, and you know what it's like on social media, then it starts throwing all that at you. But then they're obsessed with the Taylor Swift getting married, or I don't know, the absolute most ridiculous tittle-tattle of celebrities, which, I hate celebrity culture. I don't care if bloody, I don't know, I don't care, no offense to Taylor Swift, but I don't care if she's getting married. That's her private life, if I like her music or not. I don't care if, oh, what was another one? I can't even remember their names, because they're a lot of them, and they're not real famous people that I would call famous people. Oh, they've had an argument, or oh, fans are outraged at, I don't know, somebody spat in a cup or something. I don't, just crazy things that aren't important in the scheme of things. Do you know what I mean? That matter not, in our lives. And then they're trying to go on to a really serious thing, like Nancy being kidnapped, which is a big thing and does affect all of us, because it could happen to any of us or our families. Nancy was asleep in her own home. From what we can gather, she was where she should be safe. She's 84 years old, she's in frail health, all blah, 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 all those. And she was stolen in the night like a bloody computer. She's a person, and she was like stolen, like she was an object. And it seems like some harm befell her because there was blood all over the porch. So, it is a serious thing. So it doesn't mesh well with me, TMZ talking about Taylor Swift 1 minute and then Nancy Guthrie. It's like, are you a Hollywood gossip magazine, or are you a serious news outlet? Anyway. So yeah, it's like do you remember the old, God, what was it going to go? Oh, yes, they are. Oh, no, they're not. It's going backwards and forwards like this. So Reuters said none of the ransom notes were genuine. So there's a big kerfuffle about that. Great big load of hate again towards Annie and Tommaso, Nancy's daughter and son, because they'll always be in the spotlight because they were the last people to see Nancy. Tommaso is, for a lot of people, he's suspect numero uno, and you know what, he maybe, I don't know, but only the FBI know, what proof they've got or what they haven't. And despite the fact that Sheriff Nanos had said all the family had been cleared, nobody really believes it, do they? Everyone's very suspicious of Annie and Tommaso for various reasons. So there we were. Oh yeah, the notes are not genuine. Next minute, no. TMZ comes back and says, yes, they are genuine. There's no our sources. Are they daddy's sauce? Are they chili sauce? I mean, all these different sources. I've never heard of so many different sources. Our sources are telling us, yes, they are genuine. So then the FBI released a statement. Kash Patel said something. The sheriff, the hapless sheriff of Pima County. And now it's even worse now, because now you've got the FBI saying Sheriff Nanos is in charge of everything. Then you've got Sheriff Nanos saying, oh, no, the FBI are dealing with that. Where's the bloody truth? Is it maybe nobody's dealing with this case? Is it Sheriff Nanos thinks, oh, the FBI are dealing with it, and the FBI think, oh, well, Sheriff Nanos is dealing with it. Yeah, so I'm going to read you the statements that have come out and show you the video of Kash Patel totally avoiding commenting in any way, but saying that the sheriff's department was in charge. It's like, what? Who is in charge? And then a new statement came out from Savannah Guthrie. Let's have a look at Savannah. She's come out with a new statement thanking the law enforcement. Well, sorry, I'd be thinking, well, thanking them for what? What have they actually, it feels like, and I'm sure it's not true, there's probably loads going on behind the scenes, but it feels like thanking law enforcement, especially Pima County Sheriff's Department, thanking them for what? They're not searching for Nancy. They haven't made any developments as far as we know. And all we're getting subjected to, and Savannah as well, unless she's getting, more information. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the ransom notes are genuine. Oh, no, they're not. Oh, yeah, they are. Because then there's been another report then today from a Fox, I think it was, saying, yes, they are genuine. No, they're not genuine. So we've had, oh God, see, I've got completely confused. So we've had Reuters saying FBI sources say, no, they're not genuine. Then TMZ rolling back on that and saying, yes, they are genuine. We've got a statement from the FBI that I'm going to read out to you where they don't say one thing or the other. You know, this is so you're like, well, what? What? Can we start again, please, with this case? Can we start again? Now, it was just before I came on air, I was watching Nancy Grace talking about this. She came up with something interesting that I thought could be true. Is this a ploy by the FBI? I mean, I did say in my last video, is it even possible that the FBI are sending these notes, or some of them, to try and draw out, you know, the real culprit or whatever? Because you don't know what their strategy might be to try and find out who this person is. Is it a ploy of some kind? Is the FBI coming out and saying, you know, or someone from the FBI saying to Reuters, you know, no, the ransom notes are not genuine? Is that a way to irritate the person who wrote the notes? You know, goad them into writing more notes, you know, to help them find them? That's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? Sometimes the police do that. I mean, you know, the FBI, they've got their own strategies, and sometimes they do use ploys to find people. You know, they don't always have to tell the truth, do they? You know, and Nancy Grace came up with an interesting ploy that sometimes law enforcement use, where if they're trying to, if they can't find someone, for example, they'll send, but maybe they've got a phone number or they've got an email for that person, and they'll send them something that says they've won something, or there's, you know, they entice them out sometimes with false ploys. You know, that's a possibility, isn't it? Is that what the FBI are trying to do? I hope it is, because you have to hope, hand on heart, you have to hope that they have got some bloody clue what they're doing. That it can't really be as disorganized and ridiculous as it all feels. Please God, that cannot be true. There has to be a strategy in there somewhere, because if not, it's the worst investigation I've ever known of, with the conflicting information and the stupid sheriff, and, you know, now the FBI coming. So in the end, people's heads are exploding with it all. And that's just us. You know, don't know about the family, unless, as I say, the family maybe have been brought into this a bit, like, you know, told what's going to happen. Because remember, at first, Savannah did say she thought the first 2 kidnap notes were genuine. Well, that'll be the FBI that would have told her that. Surely she wouldn't have come to that on her own, would she? She should be taking advice from the FBI. I don't know. It's all a mess, isn't it? It's all a complete mess. And we're going to try and pick some bones out of it in this video. We're going to, as I say, listen to what Kash Patel had to say. We're going to read the FBI statement. Then, of course, in the middle of all this, then just, you know, feels like there's a lot happening at the moment, but none of it is actually telling us what happened to Nancy. So there is a hoaxer, Derek Kallela, who has been. So this is one fake ransom note person who has been caught and pled guilty. But the others, if they are fake, this is the other strange thing. How can the FBI not know it? They got him pretty quick, didn't they? How have they not been able to trace these other people from their IP addresses and from their Bitcoin wallets? Or maybe they have traced them, but they're just not saying it because they're trying to find them. You know, it's a right mess. The whole thing's a mess. But we're going to try and unpick it a little bit, and I'm just going to present to you this is Derek Kallela in court. I don't know if he'd be very happy with that sketch. Oh dear, these court sketches, they do make me laugh. I know I shouldn't laugh, but do you know what? If you didn't laugh, you'd cry. I don't think he'd be very happy with that sketch. I wouldn't be anyway. This is what he really looks like. It's not bad, I suppose, but very serious, isn't it? But I suppose that was a mugshot, so you would be serious. Oh God, it's like crackers, isn't it? Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you to all of you who support my channel. Thanks for caring about Nancy. We do care about Nancy. And I think this is what has to be remembered. Social media has got its faults like everything else. But I think most people who are talking about this case, they do actually think, what's happened to this woman? This could be my mum. It could be my grandma. It could be me. So, I think we all care about Nancy. So thank you for caring about Nancy. Special thank you, as always, to my members. Thank you so much. Special thank you to those of you who've bought Ko-Fi's or PayPal'd me or super chatted me. Thank you. All that really helps with my channel. Thank you. TMZ gossip. So, it's weird. All weird. This whole case is weird. Some people think it's a psyops. Wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. But I don't think it is. No, I mean, Nancy has disappeared, and it's a shame. Where is she? Is she ever going to get found? Anyway, I've got a list here of the things I want to show you and tell you about, because it's just so much. It's so much of nothing, though. Do you know what I mean? I thought, God, there's so much to talk about, but none of it really is about where Nancy is, which sadly. But the main talking points at the moment in this case is do the FBI think these ransom notes are legitimate or not? Don't you think it's a simple question? I don't think, after all these months, we weren't demanding after a week, like, are these ransom notes genuine? After all these months that have gone by, you're telling me that the FBI don't know if they're genuine or not. What's happened to the FBI? We always think of them as the creme de la creme of law enforcement across the world, don't we? The FBI, maybe we put too much faith in them, thinking that they can solve everything. Maybe they're not as good as we think they are. Anyway, so they then put after, let me read out the notice. I should got all these things to show you. All you one. So after all this happened, the Reuters released this statement. That their FBI source told them the ransom notes are not genuine. So then, oh no, that's Sheriff Nanos. Oh, I read that out the other day. Let me go to. Yeah, I'm looking for the FBI actually put a statement out. I can never find these things when I come back. I see all these things, think, oh, that'd be interesting. And then I can't find them when they come out. No, so that's Sheriff Nanos. That's no good. That's not what I want. Here it is, the FBI Phoenix. FBI Phoenix issued this. So I'm going to show it you and read it out to you. So after the Reuters announcement, just make sure it's sharing. Yeah, so after the Reuters announcement, the FBI Phoenix came out with this. The FBI and its task force partners have received several ransom notes over the course of this investigation. Some have been deemed to be extortion demands or extortion attempts without legitimacy. Other ransom demands may potentially be legitimate and are still being investigated as such. This case continues to be investigated as a kidnapping for ransom case. So they're specifically saying there, because of course when Reuters came out with this, they said, no, it's not a kidnapping case, it's a missing person case. But they're doubling down here, the FBI, and saying this case continues to be investigated as a kidnapping for ransom case. The FBI has and will continue to offer all assistance possible in the investigation. However, local authorities remain the lead. What? Local authorities remain the lead. So you've got Sheriff Nanos saying, no, the FBI's in charge. Or at least of the ransom notes and what have you. Now you've got FBI saying no, the local authorities are in charge. Oh my God. It's a conundrum, isn't it? Who is in charge? Do you think it's possible that FBI think Sheriff Nanos is in charge and he thinks they're in charge? So actually nobody's doing anything? I mean, it feels like that, doesn't it? It's like, oh, well, we're not in charge. They're in charge. They're sorting that out. And then he's saying, oh, no, I thought you'd done that. That's how it feels, isn't it? Is that why we're not getting anywhere? Or is this some sort of ploy? Because it's almost ludicrous. You've got a news agency, like, as I say, like Reuters, and whatever way you look at it, Reuters are a respected, acclaimed, most media outlets, like I noticed it was on Sky News as well, but Sky News will have got it from Reuters. Most mainstream, media platforms will look to Reuters as verification of stories, because of course they have to verify stories before they can put them out. They're much more constrained than we as social media are. But, normally I think they would think, well, if Reuters says it's true, then it's true. I wish Reuters maybe would say what their FBI source says. Who's in charge of this investigation? Is anyone in charge of it? So the FBI are saying that Sheriff Sheriff, you might as well call him Sheriff Nana, Sheriff, Deputy Dog, as I call him, local authorities remain the lead. There you go. So that's what the FBI say. But then Sheriff Nanos said, no, we're not, the FBI are dealing with that, or at least with the kidnap notes. Then we had, let's have a look, Kash Patel. Now remember Kash Patel, how could we forget Kash Patel? He is, of course, the director of the, let me put that one down now. I have to put these windows down as I finish with them, otherwise I end up with too many up there. So, good old Kash Patel. Now, remember, right at the beginning of this case, Donald Trump came out and said, yes, we are offering, all the any help that's needed from the FBI, we're offering it. And Kash Patel went off to Arizona. And then the next thing you knew, those the photos came out. CCTV or the door cam photos, just as soon as the FBI got involved in the case. Oh, bump, the next thing, we've got the door cam, which Sheriff Nanos had told us it wasn't possible to get these images because the subscription had not been paid. And all that they knew was there had been movement, but it could have been an animal for all they knew. Next minute, bump, the FBI get involved and those pictures come out. So what Sheriff Nanos was saying was not true, but probably was true for the limits. This is why the FBI is needed, because the limits of what they had available to them at Pima County, he said we can't get the images. Can't get the images, but this sign of movement could have been an animal, could have been anyone. And then Kash Patel and the FBI get involved, and poof, out of nowhere, these come out, and the video, and him blocking the camera with the flowers, and that just came out of nowhere, didn't it? But that's quite a long time ago now. We haven't had any developments since then. Since those came out, we haven't had any other developments. Now, I think we can probably think that they may have other images as well. They may even have images of Nancy getting taken out the door, but they're probably not going to show them until, they've arrested someone or until a court case comes up. Gosh, where's my vape? You just don't know, do you, in this case? Anyway, right, let's have a look at this, what Kash Patel had to say. He can't get off the stage quick enough. He just cannot get off the stage quick enough. Once he's asked about Nancy Guthrie, this is off JLR's X account. Look, he always looks like a rabbit. He's got strange eyes. You can't help that, I suppose. But to me, let me just make sure it's showing. Maybe you can't see it yet. Yeah, he always looks like a rabbit in the headlights. He doesn't inspire confidence, does he? I mean, he's the head of. We've got the sheriff of Pima County, Nanos. We've got the head of the FBI. And neither of them are really inspiring us with any confidence as far as this case is concerned. I don't think so anyway. I mean, does anyone feel confident that this case is being handled properly? Has it even been handled properly from the beginning? Now, somebody was saying, I think it was Ashley Banfield. Now, remember, Ashley Banfield came out really early on in this investigation and said her sources, those sources again, don't know if this was a tomato source because this was against Tommaso. Her source had told her that Tommaso was the prime suspect as far as the Pima County Sheriff's Department was concerned. So that started off a lot of this speculation about Tommaso. And Tommaso might be involved, but you can't help but feel sorry for him because if he isn't, he's been dragged through the court of public opinion and found guilty just for the fact perhaps that he's Italian. I've had the most ridiculous comments on some of my videos from people who he doesn't even like America. He's only been in America 5 years. He's been in America at least 11 years because he was working at high school that we looked at his bio on there. remember when the case first started, a lot of people saying, "Oh, he'd gone to Italy to watch the Italian Winter Olympics." I mean, you just, yeah, it's not really funny, but it is, isn't it? Oh yeah, Tommaso. It must be Tommaso, because what's he doing going off to watch the Italian Olympics? Oh, it just like, you just think, oh my God. People will believe anything sometimes that they see on the social media. They just accept it. Oh yes, look, and they send, quite often I get sent things from people. Oh, look at this, what's happened. And when you look into it a little bit, it's a load of rubbish. Some YouTubers and social media people, they do talk rubbish. They'll say anything to get a click. You're going off to watch the Olympics, for God's sake. Anyway, there you go. He didn't go off to watch the Winter Olympics in Italy. But yeah, there'll always be this sort of, I don't know. And of course, Annie, because she writes this weird poetry, and it is weird poetry, in my opinion. But, that's what she does. And as I've said in previous videos, just because people write about weird things doesn't mean they're murderers. So look at Stephen King. Look at any horror writer. Does that mean they're serial killers if they write about a serial killer? A lot of people who write about crime, serial killers and that fiction, are women like Tess Gerritsen, etc. Does that mean they're psychopaths that go around killing people just because they write about psychopaths? No. So, yeah, Annie's poetry is strange and it is dark, but that doesn't make her a murderer either, without any evidence, does it? So, yeah, we haven't got evidence that she isn't, but we haven't got evidence that she is. So, anyway, so when Ashley Banfield came out and said this, that her source within Pima County had told her that he was the prime suspect, there was a big fuss about it. And then Nanos came out and said, no, all the family have been cleared. The family and spouses have been cleared. But of course that stuck. And Ashley Banfield, she doubled down on what she said. She didn't say, she didn't retract it. She said that's what she was told. Anyway, I was watching her the other day and I thought she was saying something that I thought was very interesting and possibly true. Was it that at the time, in the beginning, until they took the car away and did the forensic examination of the house and this, that and the other, maybe he was the prime suspect then? That doesn't mean say he still is a suspect. Nanos says the family have been cleared, but can't believe a word Nanos says, can you? So is that what happened? Is that why her source was saying to her? And did that then, because was it, sometimes that does happen in police investigations. They focus in on one person because they're the most obvious suspect, but sometimes it's not correct. If anyone, especially if a woman disappears or is murdered, it's always the husband, the ex-husband, ex-partner. They are always the first focus, aren't they, of any investigation. And is this what happened in Nancy's case? Did they focus in on Tommaso because he was the last person to see her alive? And then maybe have blinkers on for other possibilities. And then they tried to look for the evidence, though, and they didn't find any. So if they had to then think, no, it's not Tommaso, and then we've got to look further afield. Is that a possibility? But anyway, hopefully we'll find out sooner or later. So let's just see this with Patel.
For the FBI director, if you don't mind. Reuters is reporting that the ransom notes that were.
Sorry, it's whirring a bit.
Regarding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance.
Look, he's when you actually, it's quite good that it's whirring and going slow, because when she mentions Nancy Guthrie, Guthrie, he literally startles, doesn't he?
Are you able to confirm that?
I'm not going to comment on that. We are continuing to assist that investigation. We've always been in an assist role. It's a state matter being led by the state authorities. Thank you.
For the
Let's
FBI
go.
director, if you don't mind, Reuters is reporting that the ransom notes that were sent regarding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance.
I'm not going to comment on that. We are continuing to assist that investigation. We've always been in an assist role. It's a state matter being led by the state authorities. Thank you.
For the FBI director, if you don't mind, Reuters is reporting that the ransom notes that were sent regarding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance are fake. Are you able to confirm that those have been determined to be fake?
That investigation, we've always been in an assist role. It's a state matter being led by the state authorities.
That those have been determined to be fake.
That investigation.
So yeah, he's terrified. He looks terrified. His eyes are darting around, and he just again, he says, "We're just a support role." Is that exactly what he says? Let me just listen to it again.
For the Reuters is reporting that the ransom notes that were sent regarding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance are fake. Are you able to confirm that those have been determined to be fake?
I'm not going to comment on that. We are continuing to assist that investigation. We've always
Right. So in case you didn't catch,
assist role.
stupid computer. Yeah, in case you didn't catch what he just said, we're continuing to assist that investigation. We are in an assist role. That's the FBI. The director of the FBI.
It's a state matter being led by the state authorities. Thank you.
It's a state matter being led by the state authorities, according to Cash. And then he's gone. He's gone off. Yeah, we're continuing to assist. We have an assist role. It's a state matter being dealt with by the state authorities. We'll just watch it one more time, but it's not, it's whirring, sadly.
If you don't mind, Reuters is reporting that the ransom notes that were sent regarding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance are fake. Are you able to confirm that those have been determined to be fake?
I'm not going to comment on that. We are continuing to assist that investigation. We've always been in an assist role. It's a state matter being led by the state authorities. Thank you.
For the FBI director.
Anyway, okay, yeah, sorry, the computer. Anyway, you heard what he said, or what I told you that he said. We're continuing to assist. We're in an assist role, but it's being dealt with by the state authorities. There you go. Over to you, Nanos. So do you feel like they're just throwing the ball between them? Like it's like, oh, it's your responsibility. No, it's not. It's your responsibility. That's how it feels, isn't it? It's like, it's your fault we're not getting anywhere. It's your fault we're not getting anywhere. It's your fault we're not getting anywhere. We're just an assist role. Where's Nancy? I haven't got a bloody clue. You should know. No, you should know. Why don't you know? And the ransom notes are real. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Oh, yes, you are. I mean, it's just, if it wasn't so serious, it would be hilarious. It's ridiculous. It's like an episode from Naked Gun, isn't it? It's like Keystone Cops. Bloody useless, all of them, in my opinion. Anyway, what else? What else? What else? So then on the back of all that and all this controversy about whether the ransom notes are real, I personally don't think they're real. I never have done, but you know what? Who knows? Then we've got Savannah came out and made a statement. Let's have a look at Savannah's statement. So this is the new statement from Savannah. Let's share it. But I'm going to read it out anyway. Yeah, Naked Gun was more credible, David. Certainly was. I love Naked Gun, but you know, yeah, we feel like we're watching a real episode of Naked Gun or a real Naked Gun film, don't we? That's how it feels. You know, and it shouldn't feel like that. This is serious. This is real life. You know, this is a real life true crime. Some poor 84-year-old woman has been taken from her bed by a masked intruder with a gun. At least one, maybe more than one. What was he doing in that house for 40 minutes as well? You know, I keep forgetting about that. I think that's significant. You know, he was in there 40 minutes, they reckon. What was he doing for 40 minutes? Cleaning up? Putting Nancy in a body bag? What was in that rucksack? Was it a body bag in the rucksack? Anyway, here's the statement from Savannah. Just make sure it's sharing. So this is the X account of Adrienne F, who, if you're interested in true crime, she's from Scotland, but she puts out some very interesting tweets. She's always on top of everything. New statement. Savannah Guthrie releases a new statement as we're now 5 months since Nancy Guthrie disappeared. 5 months of agony and this is Savannah speaking. It is 5 months of agony and unending trauma for our family. There is not a moment that goes by that we aren't actively trying to find our mum. We thank the people of Tucson for holding her in their hearts. Well, you know what? Not only the people of Tucson, Savannah, people all over America, all over the world want to know what happened to Nancy. I've been praying for Nancy to be found, initially to be found safe and well. Sadly, it doesn't feel like that's going to happen now, but I suppose you never know. And then she says, so this is after all this controversy, then she says, as well as both the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Office for their tireless work on behalf of our family, bring her home. I just think that's quite a weird statement. I don't know. Honestly, even the statements seem weird to me now. So is it because, you know, has Savannah been coached in what to say? Because the FBI is saying this would be a good statement to put out, or are these statements, coming directly from Savannah? It is 5 months of agony and unending trauma for our family. There's not a moment that goes by we aren't actively trying to find our mum. Well, she was cooking on the morning programme yesterday, I think. So, you know, she has to work. I'm not criticising her for going back to work. But what I don't know where the actively trying to find our mum bit comes in. Because as far as I know, where have they been out handing out leaflets or talking to people or, you know, not... I can just feel if this was my mum, I would literally, especially someone as famous as Savannah, I would literally be outside the White House with a placard. Because, wherever there's going to be the most attention, even at the football matches, because USA is still in the World Cup, aren't they? Well, I'd be there with a placard or send someone else to be there with a placard. I mean, money's not an object to Savannah. Get people there, get in front of the cameras. Where is Nancy? Have you seen Nancy? This is my mum. Does it... I don't see where this actively trying to find our mum comes in. But anyway, there's probably things going on I don't know about. But thing is, if it was effective, what they were doing, I would know about it because it'd be on the news. We thank the people of Tucson for holding her in their hearts. Well, the neighbours don't give a shit, as well as both the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Office for their tireless work on behalf of our family. Bring her home. Very strange. Do you know, Kelly, we quite often feel the same, don't we? I think a lot of Savannah's statements have felt off to me. I don't know why. And that's why I'm saying, is it because she's been maybe told what to say? Very strange language in general in this case. Like when she made that statement with Cameron and Annie, and it was like, we need a home so we can celebrate with her. Things like maybe she was told to say it in a certain way. Weird. I think it's just so weird, this case. Poor Nancy's right in the middle of it all. Yeah. And she only came out with this statement because of all this thing about whether the kidnap notes were genuine or not. Don't forget, she's rang the police to get the streamers removed from a public street. Oh, and by the way, all those streamers that were arrested, because, in Pima County, they've got so much crime and drug problems and this, that, and the other. They can't keep up with it, but they've always got 5 officers to send out to arrest the YouTube streamer who sat in the street videoing. That's his crime. They've always got enough police officers to go and do that. Anyway, 3 were arrested, weren't they? And their charges have been dropped. So what was the point of that? And that was Savannah. One of the people that phoned up there was Savannah. The neighbours, that horrible Sue Ellen. They don't care about Nancy. They just want to get back to normal life. Well, I'll tell you what, to me, there would never be a normal life until these perpetrators are caught and don't forget that Sheriff Nanos in the early days, well, after first saying nobody had anything to worry about, that was probably when he was thinking it was Tommaso who'd done it. Then later on, he said, oh, yeah, this could happen to anybody. For fuck's sake. Come on. Give people people need something to hang on to here. So 1 minute is telling the neighbours or the, people in the vicinity, no, you've got nothing to worry about. And then the next minute is saying, yeah, this could happen to anybody. Well, I tell you what, if it could happen to anybody, I'd rather those streamers were outside videoing and because they're not there at the moment because they've all been moved on. They were all moved on, arrested. All the charges have been dropped. I wonder if they're going to go back there or not and risk being arrested again. Thing is, you can't arrest someone for being irritating. Because if you could arrest someone for being irritating, half the world would be in police custody right now. God, every time I step out of the house, I bump into at least 5 people who are irritating. I don't know. Just crackers. The whole thing is crackers. Hi, Whippersnapper from Minnesota. Hi. So, there you go. So that's what Savannah had to say about it all. But we're still no further on. Are the kidnap notes genuine or are they not genuine? We don't know it. We've got now. I know if I had to choose between believing Reuters or TMZ, no offense TMZ, but I would always obviously believe Reuters. But now got the FBI making the statement, oh, this is a kidnap case. Oh, it's been treated as a. Did you notice the language of how they said it? I feel like the FBI is saying everything without really saying anything. Does that make sense? They're like saying, they're not really saying the kidnap notes are genuine or that they're not genuine. It's just, you know, I am starting to feel a bit more and more that is this deliberate from the FBI? Are they trying to make them send more notes, more emails? So let's just have a little recap of the email. So we had the first email a couple of days after Nancy disappeared. So there wasn't a ransom note left there at the scene. Then there was the first one saying, you know, asking for a certain amount of money, but if it wasn't paid within a certain time, then the amount of money would go up. And if they didn't pay it, Nancy would be murdered. Then there was, oh, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. Then the next minute was, oh, time is no longer of the essence. Whoopsie. Nancy's died. Sorry about that. You know, apologies, but she's dead. But basically, that was it, wasn't it? Not asking for any reward, like to take her body to the family or anything like that. Just, oops, a daisy, she's died, and time's no longer of the essence. Then they started getting these other notes that were ransom notes in a way, because they were asking for money. But they were supposedly from some friend of the kidnappers. So that makes you think, do you think the FBI are doing that on purpose? Maybe they've sent, because if there's more than one kidnapper, are they trying to make it look as if the other kidnappers turned on them? You know, do you know what I mean? You just don't know if there's a strategy in play here. Anyway, that one was saying, oh, I'm not the kidnapper, but I know who it is, and I will let you know where Nancy is for one Bitcoin, which is about between $60,000 and $80,000. Then what did they say after that? They said that she was buried in nature, didn't they? They were using all this weird language. Buried in nature, various sort of strange way of talking in the notes. And then what did they say after that? Oh, then they came out and said, oh, I've got a video of Nancy with one of the head honcho, you know, the main person in the kidnapping. I've got a video of them together. And they said again, for one Bitcoin, they would leave this phone in a place where it could be found that had the video on it. You know, it's just crazy, really. The more you think about it, it's just ridiculous. They gave so much information now on that if the kidnappers were listening to that, they would know who that person was and they'd just kill him, wouldn't they? Oh, you're going to leave a phone with my video on it of me and Nancy. Well, you're dead. Then they got annoyed as well, didn't they? Because somebody had phoned in an anonymous tip to Las Madres Buscadoras in Mexico, saying that Nancy was buried in Mexico. So there's a big kerfuffle. Las Madres Buscadoras went out to look for Nancy. Nancy was not found. I think they found other human remains. I'm not sure, because there's lots of people buried over the border in Mexico, sadly, from the cartels and things like that. And the other reason why I don't think Nancy is in Mexico is whether it was the cartel that got, you know, I don't think it was anything to do with the cartels, what happened to Nancy, but they know everything that goes on their patch. Somebody, I think, if Nancy would have been taken to Mexico, buried in Mexico, whatever, I do think the cartels would have got wind of it, because they know everything that's going on, don't they? So, all, and believe it or not, they do work with the Mexican police, obviously not in drugs things. They're not like trying to give away what they're doing, but they don't like people doing other things on their patches because they don't want attention drawn. They don't want the FBI crawling all over Mexico where they're operating, do they? They don't want that. So anyway, no, Kelly, they are saying quite definite. No, they said this video they've got of the kidnapper, supposed kidnapper, the head man. They say there are 2 kidnappers, and that they've got this video on their phone from the head guy with Nancy on the day she died. So no, they're not saying she's alive, they're saying she's dead. But the other thing is, to me, just reading those, not reading the ransom notes, but hearing what the ransom notes say, it's obviously a fantasist. Somebody is sat at home, like I'm sat here now on my computer. Luckily, my life isn't quite so sad that I feel that I've got to pretend I'm a kidnapper to make my life more interesting. But that's what they're doing. They're enjoying this bit of power that they've got. It could even be someone who's only, a kid. It could be a 16-year-old kid, a 17-year-old. Just somebody who's good with computers, and let's face it, it's the teenagers and that are the best hackers and things. Quite often are very young people. If they've managed to send these notes and the FBI have not been able to find out where they've come from, somebody sat there, I'm a bit bored today, like, I know, I'll send another email note, ransom note, and trying to get 1 Bitcoin, because I'm sure they've provided a Bitcoin wallet. Do they think they know they could get that Bitcoin out without anyone knowing who they were? Or are they just doing it for attention? That's why they're sending the notes to TMZ, I think, because that's where they'll get the attention from. No point in sending the note to the family or to the FBI, because that won't get any attention. I know, send the note to TMZ, get maximum attention, because, I'm sorry, but it's true. TMZ are loving it. Whatever they say, they're loving every minute of it. They've probably never had so many clicks, so many views. So TMZ are going to broadcast it everywhere, aren't they? That they're the ones that are getting these notes. Because, that's what they do. That's their job is